Alright, welcome on back. I decided I'm gonna do another one. So, let's see. So where we left off last time, we built this amazing contraption. And yeah, it's only been going a little bit, although, ooh, interesting. So now I have, well, I guess I don't have any more iron ore. I was gonna say now, that's gonna go all the way till it runs out. We have plenty of copper ore. I'll probably pull that. Got tons up here. I don't think we have any more than that. Oh yeah, no, never mind, we do. Oh, actually, let's go ahead and fill this up. Hmm. Oh, we gotta do this. So then we'll pull that. Oh, wait. What happened? The Ford, like, disappeared. Okay, cool. So it does pick it anywhere in the box. So I thought it might just look at this first one. But no, this proves that it skips over all of this stuff because it doesn't need that, but it does have that. So then that'll replenish that as well as this. No. Okay, so now it's going to just slowly tick through because it was replenishing that. We've got full wood. That's not going to change. We've got plenty to fill that up. Well, for now, I guess. That's you almost need about as much wood as you have ore. Like, I don't think it's a direct one-to-one ratio. Oh, wait, there's another book in there. What is this? Healthy relationships. Yes. We'll go ahead and put all this knowledge over there. I mean, yeah, this is Wizard Island, but we'll actually have, like, the... I don't know. I guess wherever there's a good place to put things. I don't know. This is more serene. Like, the more time I'm, like, hanging out here. We gotta make it below those though, because I like to jump off of them. So like there's already like reserved space, and so we could have like something floating there, or even like dangling from that. Oh, and then get some like GoldenEye, Alec Trevelyan, in the ending vibes. All right, we're doing that. Okay, so I don't know, simulations and other theories. So yeah, Neil does this great talk where on Star Talk, where it's just like, um, we're so good at creating simulations, and it's kind of like human nature to want to be able to play God. Like we have this recurring theme, and that's why I did put that first part, like Bender from Futurama, Lisa from Simpsons, and the Sneetches. Although the Sneetches, they weren't playing God as much. I mean, they were changing their physical appearance that they were born with. Either you were born with a star upon the R's, or you were born without. And based on that, you were either in or you were out. See, look at that. We could do some ghetto Dr. Seuss. And I wanted to make a ghetto Bible. Like, I had some friends, and I consider them colleagues now, but hooligans and ruffians back in the day that I used to consort with. And we would often talked about we should write a ghetto Bible or a gangster Bible. Like, and I mean, that thought's nothing new, too. You've got the ghetto gospel, stuff from like Snoop Dogg and Top Dog No Limit, Death Row Records. Like, we listened to a lot of that stuff, and we'd get these ideas from that. It's like, oh, but I mean, just it's more of a concept of this Bible doesn't really serve all of these groups, and these groups are in these situations for whatever a myriad of reasons. It's not just because black people are dangerous, which unfortunately was like a racist thing for a long time that people would say and act like, which that stems back to the biological factor of people that to fear what they don't recognize or know. So if they're not used to people that look different or seem different or whatever, it's a naturally based instinct to be a little cautious. Now, intelligence is where you can ignore that feeling of, oof, wait, I got to be cautious and be able to look past it. Now, easier said than done, too. I mean, if you, Insane Clown Posse is a great example because no matter how white and like whatever safe or familiar you are to people, and I'm thinking that the stereotypical like, old white people here, they're like, oh, clutch their purse when sorry, you gotta watch the movie Crash to really understand a lot of that. But like, there's ongoing stereotypes here, and we're getting better. I mean, as a country, with better communication and all that. But um, ICP. if you take a white lad, like someone that they wouldn't look twice at, give him a button-up shirt and all this, now paint his face like a juggalo. And you're instantly going to have the same effect of, hey, I'm going to clutch my purse closer to that person, or I'm going to lock my car and make sure, which you should always lock your car anyway. I mean, you don't know if someone's having a bad day or if someone's running from someone or like, or there's a whole range of reasons why you don't want to leave your car unlocked. Now, you go to small towns, it used to be you could leave your house unlocked, your car unlocked. Nobody would do anything because where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Like, everybody's going to see you and tell on you because they can't help it. They got nothing to do but drawl at the grocery store like, oh yeah, I saw so-and-so over there. Oh, I think it looked like he was taking your car. Like, I mean, it wouldn't come out like that. Like, I mean, we all respected each other to where, because we could instantly see, like, if I stole your car, like you would really talk to the person like this, but if I stole your car, you wouldn't be able to get to work, and that would make me sad because I would see you hindered. Like your life is now harder because of a choice that I made, and it's the direct responsibility of that, the direct accountability, like in a small town. And that's what the big difference is between rural and urban, like cities and small towns, is you can't get away. And I hate to say that that one country song is like, try that in a small town. And it's pretty insensitive about some things from what I understand. I don't know, I haven't heard the thing. That's the argument, I guess. But and it is kind of like there's some truth to that. Like if you try to disrespect people or talk down to people or talk smack, and that's one of the biggest things. Like XApp was or Twitter was horrible for a while of like anti-Trumpers, and it still is. And I follow a bunch of people, and I kind of like I stopped doing it, trying to be mean to people and stuff. And like, but I had to consciously be like, wow, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I had to get called out by people, and so a bunch of prickly conversations on the XApp helped me realize like I have my political opinions, but I don't want to spread them at the cost of other people's happiness. Like that just seems messed up. Like I'm now disrespecting somebody that can take a joke, sure. Disrespecting people that you're friends with, like poking fun, like that's more acceptable. But when you share what's more acceptable, what's already been approved and verified from you by your friends that know you mean it in the way that you mean it, like, uh, a good example is a lot of great comedians have said some very racist jokes back in the day. Dave Chappelle probably the worst of all of them for black racist jokes because he was able to. But then, or so he thought. And this is a white guy talking about what a black guy can and can't do. I'm not trying to say it like that, but what I'm saying is like comedians are notorious for ripping on all people, trying to make it equal, like trying to and South Park, the idea is in there too. Like they got rid of a or they changed a racist flag where they were hanging a black person by having one of the people be black as well. It wasn't because he was black that he was hanging. It was because he killed somebody or deserved to hang or whatever by those terms or those norms. He was being punished for a crime. Now, when it was just a bunch of white guys hanging a black guy, and these were stick figures too, by the way. Go watch South Park this episode because it is profound. Again, comedy, like stretching the limits. Like I couldn't just walk up into a place, especially if there was anybody from that demographic, and just be like, oh yeah, it's just yeah. And I'm saying it now out of like, we need to study this, acknowledge it, and then move on and move forward. So, um, that was a lot. And we've got that mostly handled now. Like, I mean, it's not like it was in the 80s or the 90s or the early 2000s. I mean, yeah, I feel like even by the 2000s, racism was pretty much going away. Like, that was around the time we had Chappelle. It was being brought out into the open. Like, people were calling it out, be like, look at this crude mother, like, doing this thing and that thing, like this and that. And, if you go into poorer areas or demographics or communities, they're not afraid to tell you a lot of things too. So they'll say some pretty rude things and be like, but there it is, calling it out, exposing the problem to where you can mitigate and fix the problem. So, I mean, first it's mitigation, like let's stem the bleeding, let's stop any more damage from this particular problem. Um, Unfortunately, that's what jail is. It's like let's slow down, let's stop all the damage before it keeps getting worse and worse. I do have a story about that. It's not mine to tell, and I won't use names, but I know of a guy. It was in the papers, but I actually knew him personally before that. Not like we were buds or anything, but like, anyways, acquaintances. So he ended up like stealing a cop car, stealing another car, like crashing into a bunch of things, all over a bunch of coins. And I don't mean any disrespect to him, like laugh at that, but he did a bunch of dumb things, and we all told him like, We could tell he was on drugs or something before that. Like he was under the influence of some pretty gnarly things, and society and problems too. Because that's why it's more dangerous for a poor person to be caught with a substance rather than a rich person. Sorry if I seem a little pessimistic or snide on that. It is because of that Biden and crack thing. Like I'm not saying crack is good. It's horrible. No, no, don't try it. Don't do it. But if you get caught with it and you're poor, then phew, your world's over. You might be like, yeah. The problems are much different based on the socio background, the socioeconomic background. So, and in layman's terms, if you're rich, you get away with stuff because it's not that dangerous to society. Like if you're off, I mean, granted, Hunter was safely tucked away in a hotel room with two call girls, like, but he wasn't out running around the streets like threatening people with weapons or doing anything like that could potentially happen if you didn't have that nice hotel room and like hundreds of dollars to just be like, you know what, I'm gonna go hang out here for the night rather than, because people are still gonna be encouraged to do that stuff and it is addicting, and that hence why there's such an issue with it. But if you're addicted to it and you're seeking out and doing it and you have resources, then where's the strain on society and where's the exposure? Now, it's still wrong, still shouldn't be doing it, but it's almost like we should just focus on the crimes at the end and the crimes at the top of the funnel, too. Like, how did that even happen to where this one person, just because of, his name or, who birthed him, he has no physical attributes or mental attributes, anything better or worse than the average person. So why the pedestal? And that's where we need to calmly and slowly equalize all of that. Now, because, I mean, otherwise it is scary. It's a whole schism and ugh. But, I mean, one way to get there is just to make the cost of living for an acceptable level of living very attainable and affordable. Like, you still have to work. Everybody wants to work. It's human nature. I mean, unless they don't know how to get into working or they don't experience things. So that's another thing. Like, one of my favorite jobs, building wind turbine blades, or before that, like building houses, because I was out there exercising and getting paid to do it, and it was great. Sorry, I gotta go. I'm gonna need another wandering trader to come in and bring some more wires. So, anyways, now we're back to here. This is kind of more of like a Western Civ, Greek, Roman, like, imagine all this is like marble. Oh, I did recreate this. One of my buddies showed me this, and uh, so this is how you make a stop. Now, I don't think this is the same. It seems a little smaller, and I don't have a rail car with me, of course, but basically what you would do is it goes, it goes, it goes, and then this detector, activator, and a detector. So the detector detects me rolling over it. It sends a charge to this, which is already charged with this, but not. So I think since there's two, it's a not charge. Like it's an XOR, like an exclusive OR, like only one or the other can be powered, but not both. Like two powered gives a double, so then it's off. So you can just be in the off state. Otherwise, it would just always be red. It would always be running, always be that. I don't think it would work. But since it does that, so it detects, it briefly turns this on, and I wonder if that's just because it charges this block. I don't know. But I had it here and here, so I had one here and then one here instead of here and here. Basically put a space between them. It didn't work as well. Then again, I'm not really going at full speed. I did take out the gold one on either side, or the powered rail on either side, to kind of focus on this. But either way, well, I didn't want the cart to continue on. And maybe it doesn't, actually, now that I think about it. Because without a person in it, it's less likely to keep going, like the inertia with the weight. That's why this game is so awesome. It has the physics built into it that there is more inertia in a minecart if it's occupied. That means it would go further if it's occupied. And really, if you break it down to that basic logic, it's actually kind of easy to program it like, oh, if this true, then do this. Like, you have a different speed based on whether it's occupied or not. And that's just a simple Boolean. It's a yes or no. It's a line or a circle. Yes, no. So, anyways. What were we even talking about? Healthy relationships, simulations, building altars, like basically like building places for this. So even if we were just to get from scratch, we do have these books. Yeah, healthy relationships, mental wellness. Like, say we were just trying to start all this from scratch. Like, what would I do? Let's plan out. Okay, so let's build some. Let's get some interesting blocks. And then I think, nope, the spin is in the side. Okay. So we could do some of, yeah, some bricks, chiseled deep slate. Some deep slate tile wall. Actually, there we go. Let's do some of this wall. Um, yeah, stone. Actually, yeah, let's do that. And that. Let's do this one. Just to be able to signify a difference. Like, okay, now. It's a nice big flat area to go have these things on display and compare. And of course, we still need to gather materials and such to be able to write this stuff down and record it. But let's say, yeah, over here is where we will put like the hellish landscape, the nether. But for now, what we'll do is just do, oh, actually, let's see. So the two big problems, I call them the two taboos, religion and politics. So you're trying to control people through one of two ways. So actually, it's really a totem pole of like, let's get one of each of these. What it all boils down to is control. Now, whether you control from, what do we do over here? Was it this one? Yeah. Or, so control either by, let's actually elongate that out. That looks like a spaceship. Could be inappropriate. Alright. There we go. That looks more like an X-Wing or something. But anyways, control. How do you control? Because, I mean, if people were just left to their own devices, I don't know. It's too hard. Well, and I don't know. It might even be a different wall. Because basically, the idea is you need to have control. Otherwise, people would just be out there looting, robbing from people. And we do know this to be true. That, and that's why I've brought up before, like Gold Rush Gangsters. That might have been in a different season. But, like, and I was in Malaysia, in Penang, Malaysia, touring this mansion house that was run by Chinese gangsters, or Chinese mafia, like of the back in the day, and it looked the same, like Jesse James and all the like I don't even remember, like Dolly Parton or Billy the Kid, like our Western people, and there was some people up in what's the name of that? Tabers. There you go, the Tabers, because we still have a Tabor law in effect that actually gave me a pretty good kickback from my tax return this year, which was the only thing, because now that I make a decent, or like, not decent, like I make better than poverty level, now I get taxed all like crazy, so. But at least, I mean, I don't know. I know what it's like to be poor, and I know what it's like to be middle class. Oh, I'd still say lower middle class, because I got debt up to my eyeballs. Anyways, enough of that. So control, either religious, spiritual, or political. Like, okay, these are the rules, we all agree on them, and done. Or at least enough people have agreed on them that where it's a general consensus, and that's where it splits hairs, and that's basically like America's big thing, like why we're so prickly about like China, Russia, North Korea, like it's because they don't elect their leaders the same way we do. This is starting to look like a B-wing. It's kind of like a cross. Let's not make it into a cross. That looks more like a B-wing from Star Wars. I like that. Keep it like that. But basically, that's the only reason, at least that I've heard, growing up in America, it's like we gotta save them from dictators or rulers or people that, abuse their power or whatever. And then you know. And I know people that love Gaddafi and hate Gaddafi, and I've heard things about, what was that, Libya? See, that's embarrassing. I don't even know, but it hasn't come up that much. And I used to have a friend. Yeah, it's Libya, because my friend is from Libya that hated Gaddafi. I mean, he just absolutely hated him. And I tend to trust his judgment. Like he's a nice guy. Like he was smart. He's a computer wizard. And like um, Arab, Arabic, and or Libyan, I guess. I don't know. But like darker skinned. English was his second language. But again, very kind. Anyways, I hung out with a lot of grad students and stuff here at CSU. And it was just kind of a thing, like meeting people from all around the world. So, anyways, that's our reason for being at war, like almost the entire time we've been a country, is because we've got a really great living over here in America and we want to spread it to everybody. Democracy. Now, that message doesn't really get communicated or conveyed, or even actually is the truth in some situations. So, I mean, good intentions. So, there's a saying that good intention, or is that a saying, or is that actually part of the Bible? But I don't know. But good intentions are or pave the pathway to hell. Like basically, like good intentions are dangerous because it might sound good, and you might get that instant feeling of gratification, like, oh yes, that sounds good. But if you don't follow through, then it's bad. And so, like, if you say, oh yeah, I'll help you, help somebody, and then, oh no, like you don't do it, then it's even worse because you said you'd help. I mean, and that's what, that's just life. Like growing up with kids, having friends, you watch a bunch, like Disney does a really good job of like a bunch of after school specials. Like you watch, like I remember I used to watch, oh, okay, I also had a huge crush on her. Lizzie McGuire growing up, like she was gorgeous, and she always had, like, and you're like looking into like the inner workings of her mind. It was a great show for guys to watch because it was like, this is what girls are thinking about, like, and it basically explained things. I mean, me, I just had a lot of time on my hands because I was left alone a lot as a kid. Not, I mean, not any like too bad, but um, but no, it was just having single parents in a time when communication was hard. We didn't have internet. We didn't have phones that didn't cost an arm and a leg. And my dad lived over in another state over that. He said he'd send money, but he'd have to go work in Nevada to make a lot of money. Of course, there was also other reasons too. But I mean, he was a miner, and there weren't any mines nearby. So what he had done and a lot of his skills, what he could fall back on, was no longer required up here in the mountains. So now it is. I mean, if he was still alive today, you could probably go right back up to Leadville and work in the mines again and make good money doing stuff. Like there's a molybdenum, however you say that, molybdenum mine up there, and it pays pretty well. Like especially with benefits and all that. I think it's like 80,000 all in with like benefits, and so your actual take home pay is more like, I don't know, like 60 or 70. But considering that it's a low skill, potentially no skill. Like I mean, they'll train you and get you to that point. But it's also very dangerous. Same with building wind turbine blades. Like it was fun, but it was dangerous. I got well compensated, but again, it was dangerous. So I don't know. There's trade-offs to everything. I didn't really have much of a choice. If I wanted money, I just went with where my sister worked, so I was able to go work there and get a job based on like, because there was that trust. Like my sister vouched for me, and then there's also that accountability. Like if I didn't do a good job, they would just go tell my sister, or they would tell my parents, or like something like that. And again, small town mentality. Everybody knows everybody. But now everybody knows everybody potentially with a cell phone or an internet connection. And that's how we're spreading accountability and communication to places like India and Russia, like the main places where hacks come from, where hackers, or all my stuff got hacked. In fact, I was just dealing with this today. I saw a computer that had a virus. It was search synergy, and that's another thing. That's why I want to like do these videos, is start plastering, or I don't know. It's these videos aren't going to be the best medium for it, but there has to be a bulletin board of sorts for the world to come together and be like, oh hey, there's this. I mean, there are forums, but that's only useful for people that are actively involved in those forums, usually a bunch of techies, system admins, or, cybersecurity professionals, or even hackers themselves. Like, they hang out in there and be like, okay, so this is how you get this. Ah, okay. Now I would try to go around that. And that's the danger of, like, cybersecurity is a whack-a-mole game. It's just like a back and forth, a spy versus spy of cybersecurity professionals and people trying to game the system or steal from someone. I mean, so they're trying to one up the other person, and so without really understanding, I mean, because a lot of times, if the people just knew the people they were stealing from, that was like someone's, because usually it's old people, like grandparents. That's someone's grandma or grandpa, and like, and if your grandma or grandpa found out about it, what would they say? They would smack you, be like, hey, what are you doing? Or at least, newer generations, maybe not as much physical stuff, but like, still, it's the thing. There's that accountability and communication. Now, oh, from a trusted source. See, there you go. There's that lingering thing. And I'll say right now, I hate holy hip hop. I'm sorry. We had or 107.1, which was old school hip hop and like really good music. It was a little more angry music, but from an angrier time. Now there's like tons of gospel hip hop, and that's what it changed to. It's the king, and it's like, oh, I hate that because you can love God, but don't call him a he. Like, whatever. You know how unfairly that makes it for women? Like, I guess they're like, oh, just F us, okay, whatever. Like, we don't matter now? Like, that's how it feels. Like, if you just say, oh, like, well, Jesus is a white male that has money and land, like, okay, yeah. Or Muhammad is only an Arab, like, why can't Muhammad be white? Like, why is he gotta be? I mean, and that's a little easier because Muhammad is based on more of like I don't believe they said like Muhammad was God, whereas Jesus was technically God. That's what like the religion believes. So, and that's what I don't really ascribe to that because it's like, it's really hokey. I mean, and I've got a meme that sums it up. It's the guy from Incredibles, the first Incredibles, and he's trying to do the math homework with the kid, and he's like, so a ghost man unconsensually impregnated a woman in the Middle East, and then that with himself, so he could sacrifice himself later to himself to save people from himself. Like, and that's basically the gist of Christianity is Jesus came down, God created Jesus. Jesus was God, but yet Jesus was also a man or human. And I think that's a big misunderstanding. Like, I mean, when they were writing about it saying that he was a man, they really probably should have just said he was a human. But then that sounds weird. Like, okay, alien, like, why are you talking like that? But it would clarify that not just because he was male, he could have been female too. Like, or he could have been female instead. Like, it could have been Jesse. Like, or whatever. Like, Jessica. There, we'll do it, Jessica. Because I actually know a Jesse. It's male, but anyways, and then you have the gender stuff, which that's the whole different thing, and a big conflict that we need to fix. So like, we'll have a podium up there. Basically, I'll build like a whole altar and be like, all right, so here's what we need to fix. Then boom, go over here, look at that, look at that, look at that. But it's got to have words, because otherwise, right now, like we've got a bunch of posts out there in the middle of nowhere. So we've got religion and politics, the two taboos, and basically understanding that those are two ways of control. Whereas in small towns, which are usually a little more religious too, um, but at the same time, it's weird because Buena Vista was very skeptical. Like, if you talk to people and be like, well, yeah, I go to church or whatever, like temple. I mean, we had some Jewish people up there, and we had, um, anyways, mostly a lot of churches, a lot. And even within Christianity, there's different groups. So like, I don't believe this. Like, we believe this. Like, okay, this is a lot of good stuff, but no, let's go this way. And just minor, discrepancies or differences. Same with Islam. Like, there used to be just Shiite, Sunni, or Shiite and Sunni, I think, and now there's Smahili, which, and I don't even know what the difference is. That is. I had my friends tell me they were all Smahili, Muslim from Saudi Arabia. So like a whole different like flavor, if you will, of Islam. And even Islam, like the more we talked and hung out and stuff, the more it was like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy's not some total nut job or some weirdo. And like we were both saying that, like, because Americans come off pretty crazy if all you got is like the news. What else do you have? I mean, you don't have a direct phone line to people's houses here, and even with all this like combination of communication and mixing of cultures, it could be better. Like, and that's why I want to get back into the streaming one way or another, so I could actually get to a point where there's like feedback and back and forth and conversation, communication, and from people all around the world. Because I was getting that when I was teaching, doing the Twitch for, well, I was trying to get a job, and so I was streaming how to code and then recording those videos on how to code to try to help other people try to code. And yeah, and it was fun too. It was like basically problem solving. You're playing games, but Anyways, for now, yeah, that's where we're going. We've got our memorial temple, we've got that. I'll probably do a bunch of building off screen and just come back and be like, hey, by the way, here's the temple for this, here's the temple for that, here's the temple for this. And basically, and people have been doing this forever, and I've taken several art history classes and just studied like the way people express themselves and were creative and did religious stuff like back in the day. And I'm talking way back in the day, like the beginning of civilization. Like people have been peopling since people have ever peopled. And once you start like recognizing patterns and similarities, I mean, the easiest is how like we have pyramids all around the world. Like people just naturally wanted to build tall structures by stacking blocks on blocks. Like as we play this block game Minecraft, like I love this thing. This is easily my favorite game. But I digress. I'm gonna go travel off into the world of the Elden Ring. So ta-ta for now, and maybe when we come back in the next episode, I'll have like just a ton of stuff built. So ta-ta for now. I will see you in the next one.